Hi friends, welcome back to CSS Zero to Hero. This series is for beginners who wants to learn CSS. In this video, I am going to talk about specificity in CSS. Let's start. What is specificity in CSS? If there are two or more CSS rules that point to the same element, specificity determines which rule to be applied. The selector with the highest specificity value will win. Let me explain this using an example. I have created a h1 tag and few h2 tags, and so we can see this. Now let me use the universal selector and change the color to green. And so we can see the color of all the text are changed to green. Now let me specify red color to h2 tag. We can see all the h2 elements are now in red color. You may think this is because we have specified h2 selector after universal selector, and so the second one overrides the first one. But it is not. Even if I specify this h2 selector rule before universal selector, it is going to behave like the same. Because universal selector is the one which is having the lowest specificity. Tag or element selector is having higher specificity than universal selector. Okay, now let me add a class blue to few h2 tags, and then let me give color blue to that blue class. Now if I refresh, we can see the class selector is overriding the tag or element selector because class selector is having higher specificity than tag or element selector. Now let me add an ID to one of the h2 tags. And let me add a purple color to that ID selector. Now we can see ID selector is overriding all other selectors because ID selector is having higher specificity. Finally, let me also add an ID to one more element, and let me add some color. And so we can see that color is applied. Now let me add an inline style. And if I refresh, we can see inline style is overriding all the selectors. That is because inline style is having the highest specificity. Okay, let me show you this. If I duplicate the same selector and use a different rule, the later one overrides the previous one. For example, if I copy this and change the color, the latest rule will be applied. In the meantime, if I add one more class and change the color in that, it will reflect. But if I move this rule before this one, we can see the last one is getting applied even though we have placed this class after this one. To understand all these, let me inspect in browser and let me target this element. Now we can able to see all the CSS rules starting from universal selector to the ID selector. But all other rules are in the bottom while the ID selector is in the top. Also, all the other rules are striked out. If I inspect this element, we can see ID selector rule is also striked out because of inline style. This is how CSS got its name cascading style sheet, because the styles are cascading. And finally, I want to show you about another rule. We can use exclamation mark and then important in any rule to override any kind of specificity. Let me apply important to the one in the universal selector. Now if I refresh, we can see all the text are showing in green. Even the styles mentioned as inline CSS are also overridden. Now in the inspect window, we can see even though the universal selector is present in the bottom, it is not striked out now, but the inline style is striked out. So if we use the important rule, it will override all previous styling rules for the specific property on that element. Hope you understood about specificity in CSS. See you in my next video. Please don't forget to subscribe my channel and support me. Thank you. Bye.